whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later. I'm gonna hurt some people.
Thanks everybody for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. Having some quick technical hiccups, so thanks for joining us. I mean, I may have drank a lot yesterday, so I'm a little slower today because you all know what I'm going to say. My Niners won, baby. My Niners won. I had posted, it was not pretty. Wasn't even close to being pretty. Well, we got the dub, and that's all that matters. Click that thumbs up button if you love it that the Niners won, or that you just want to support this show. It's right there underneath the window right there. Just click the thumbs up. It helps us out. We also want to say thank you to our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. He is the tax guy. We'll be talking about taxes in just a bit because today is officially the start of tax season. Yep, the IRS has deemed January 23rd the official start of the tax season. So if you need help, like I do, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, MoskowitzLLP.com. Also, help support the show by becoming a Patreon supporter. It's a monthly way that you can support the show. It gives us some money we can kind of depend on. But we really appreciate everybody donating different ways. But if you want to become a Patreon subscriber, go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And we have all the links to Patreon, to past YouTube shows that you can share with your family and friends. And then, of course, Super Chat is live. It's a way for you to donate literally during the show. I'll read your comments. And then if you're watching this on replay, you can still donate there. And it helps myself. It helps Kim. If you want to do it by PayPal, there's the email address, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And hello to everybody watching on Facebook, because we do stream it there as well. And I just want to give a shout out to Wes, who's starting us off with a $10 super chat donation. Thank you, Wes. Gets to support the shows that I listen to while working. Yeah. So I really appreciate everybody that does that. Wes, you're awesome, and I really do love it. All right. Let's do this, baby. I mean, I was thinking it would have been a much bigger blowout, right? I mean, Dallas, again, I'm not trying to knock their players or anything. I was just thinking our defense and our offense would have just crushed them. Of course, I'm biased, right? I'm a Niner fan. It wasn't the most exciting game. I'll say that, unless, you're really a huge fan of these teams. But yep, the Cowboys lost to the Niners 19-12. There were some funny moments though. I'm going to get to one way in which the fans lost. And they really did lose during this game and the lead up to the game. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But let's get to some of the wins. One play into the fourth quarter, and you know what I'm going to say, running back, Christian McCaffrey got the touchdown, put the Niners up 16-9. But did you see what George Kittle did? Let me get the picture. Of course, I can't show you the video. I just love George Kittle. I swear to God, he's so awesome. So McCaffrey spikes the ball. Kittle catches it, and then he throws it to the GOAT. Oh, I should have gotten the picture. Maybe I'll find it during one of the breaks. Of course, that's Jerry Rice, who's becoming iconic, right? With this gigantic, oversized rhinestone or diamond encrusted football helmet that he wears around his neck. I absolutely love it. I met Jerry Rice. I have the best picture over at Station X. He had come to sign autographs. Obviously, KNBR was one of our sister stations. And remember, I was looking at my old boss, Lee Hammer, and he knows that I'm a huge 49er fan. And I'm like, I know that Jerry Rice is supposed to arrive right when I'm supposed to start work. I'm going to be late because I'm going upstairs and I'm getting a picture of Jerry Rice. Like, I don't give two licks. I'm going to be late tomorrow because I need to take a picture with Jerry Rice. And I mean, because, if there's any perks of working in a radio station is that you get to meet some of these people that walk through. I also met Ronnie Lott that same way, but it wasn't as funny. I'll find the picture when Kim comes on during the bottom of the hour news. I'll try to find it. But I bring my jersey, I'm wearing my normal like work clothes, but I brought a 49er jersey, and and like I go in the back, right? So I'm passing all those fans because I have to get to work. And Lee walks me over. He's like, okay. He's like, just stand there and I'll get you a picture with Jerry. I swear to God, when it was my turn, I leapt into this man's arms. You will see, like, he just kind of grabs me and we just embrace because I was so happy to meet Jerry Rice. It's just one of those moments of like, I need this picture. I just absolutely love him. Obviously, what jersey? I was wearing my Gore jersey yesterday. But yeah, it was a great game because we won, right? It could have been a blowout. I would have loved it if we were up high, we scored a lot more. Kittle with that, amazing catch yesterday. I don't even know how he caught that ball. The fumbling, it bounced off his fingers. It was just amazing, but he has a great time. We never touched on this, but Kyle Shanahan apparently has called Kittle out for his positivity, apparently. Kittle told NBC Bay Area's sports, oh, he's talked to me about my positivity before. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to make football as fun as I possibly can for the guys because it's a very stressful sport. So this was him last night making, eyes at the cameras that go up above, which is hilarious. He says, in a sport with such high stakes and expectations, Kittle says he likes to keep things light at practices, games, and everywhere in between. He says there's pressure. You can't ignore the fact that there's pressure. There's a little anxiety here and there. But when you're out there having fun, you kind of forget about all that stuff. And football is really hard if you're just super stressed out all the time. And so he uses his humor. He makes those faces. If you're ever able to catch, him being mic'd up, the things that he says, absolutely funny. Yeah, Squarius, he's a funny guy. And he just seems like he'd be a really fun guy to hang out with. Oh, we're having some people hating on the GOAT. All right, let's go down it. I'm fair here. All right, let's see. One, Neiman says, my son went to private school with his kid. That's pretty cool. But Gil says, Jerry's an a-hole. Met him delivering construction material to his home. His wife was real cool, though. Okay. John disagrees. My brother met Jerry Rice outside someplace, and he talked to them and was the nicest guy. Neiman says he was always nice with everyone. Maybe Gil, you just caught him at a bad time. Look at this, Nick. All right, let's get into it a little bit. Since you're a Niners fan, it didn't bother you when Rice left to play for the Raiders because of money? No. It's still a business. Am I mad at Montana for leaving the Niners? No. I'm not going to. Frank Gore is one of my favorite players. Love him. When he went to the Colts, I rooted for him when he was on the Colts, unless he was playing the Niners. Come on. It's still a business. And if you're not going to get paid, but you're going to get paid. He's still amazing. And he will always be a Niner in my book. He just will. Yeah, John, sometimes stars are just having a bad day. I'll find the picture because Jerry was having a very good day. I think he was very surprised at my tiny little ass jumping into his arms, but I was not going to let it go. The Sacramento Kings hilariously used the Cowboys logo to rile up fans during the Sacramento Kings game. They were playing Philly. What a coincidence. We're going to be playing Philadelphia next weekend. So apparently during free throws for the Philadelphia 76ers, the Kings would flash a Dallas Cowboys logo on the video board, and then the crowd would boo during Philly free throws, which is absolutely genius. A lot of people were saying that was brilliant, totally brilliant. Here at home, did you see this? Look at this. Now, I get if we would have lost the game, I would have been highly disappointed. And I'm not knocking the men out there, but I'm a woman, so I don't do this crap. But look at these Cowboy fans. Did you see this? Look at them fighting. You're both Cowboy fans, you dumb butts. Oh, throw punches. I mean, it's Cowboys against Cowboys. I mean, we know how this can turn out, right? We don't want to see stuff like that. Alcohol. Oh, he's okay though. He's yelling. Don't get up here. Don't get up. All right. I mean, ridiculous. You really don't need to fight because your team lost. Yeah, John, you're absolutely right. 99.9% chance alcohol was involved in that fight. The other 0.1 was because they lost. I mean, it's stupid, obviously. It's stupid to get in a fight if you won, obviously. Somebody that is just, he needs to be slapped, not literally, figuratively, although, because I don't condone violence, I should say. Is Skip Bayless. Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. Hey, Kim.
Hi.
I'm basking in my team's win yesterday.
In the glory.
Oh, it was close. I was never feeling good the whole entire time. But you know what makes me feel good is seeing people that rooted against my team be proven wrong. So I'm talking about Skip Bayless. He's on that show, Undisputed. He says, I've never wanted a game more than I wanted that one. My soul is crushed. He's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, apparently.
Wah, wah, wah,
Wah, wah, wah.
wah.
So I'm calling in sick tomorrow. Heart sick.
God.
Congrats to the 49ers who will lose to the Eagles. Shut the hell up, Skip. Don't be bitter. But then look at this stupid, dumb video that he tries to make. He shares it on social media about how he's just so fed up with the team. Watch this. There we go. So he's like but he's standing over there. It's all staged, obviously. As a Dak Prescott jersey and into the trash.
Whatever.
You're not going to get an Oscar for that performance, Skip. That was a little bit ridiculous, but it's got to be hard for your team to lose, especially when you have a platform in which you're just saying over and over again how much the Niners are going to lose, which didn't happen. But that fans, Kim, did lose. The 49er fans and the Dallas Cowboy fans together did lose. And it was during the lead up to the game. They are calling it the worst traffic jam in Levi's stadium history.
What happened with that?
So apparently, all the roads into Levi Stadium, hours before kickoff, were jammed. People were saying, let's see, one person that contributes to Niners Nation told SF Gate it took him more than an hour to travel 1 to 2 miles from the freeway exit to the parking lot. Now, this is before the game. Some people are saying there was no visible traffic coordination. Now, this isn't the first time, but they're saying it's the worst. Another woman posted on Twitter, in my third hour of today's charming commute from JLS to Levi Stadium, I think the half hour spent on the off-ramp of 237 was the most memorable. People were getting out of their cars to relieve themselves. And Killian wrote, this has been the worst day getting into Levi's in its history. Happy championship game day. Now, Santa Clara police did put out an advisory. They were talking about, obviously expect all of the slowdowns and congestion. And then, of course, they advise you to do the thing that I've been telling you to do, which is take your bicycle.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't know your bike trick.
Exactly. Well, it's in the thing. So they say complimentary bike valet service is located in certain gates, green lot, near gate C and gate A. And it's perfect. I mean, you are right there at the security line. You go, whoop, right in. It'll be open 3.5 hours before the event through 1 hour upon completion. They have bike routes leading into Levi Stadium, Santa Masakino Creek Trail, the John W. Christian Greenbelt Trail,
Mhm.
Guadalupe River Trail, Great America Parkway. I mean, there's a lot of trails, and you could park a bit away, get a little bit of exercise in. It's a hell of a lot easier than being stuck for hours trying to get into a game, because it just puts you in a sour mood. You know what I mean? It just puts you really in a sour mood before you get in there. I'd be worried that I was going to miss kickoff. And you know how much people paid for these games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kim writes in, if the traffic was as bad getting in Christmas Eve when we went, I would have missed the game. Yeah, exactly. That would have been my fear. So if obviously, we're going to be in Philadelphia next weekend. But if you're gonna go to Levi Stadium, please take advantage of the bike valet. It's so sweet and it's so smooth. Now, if you are going to Philadelphia, SF Gate has outlined 5 hotels in Philadelphia that still have availability. Let me know in the chat if anyone is planning on going to Philadelphia. Okay, so let's see. Club Quarters Hotel, Rittenhouse Square. It's 8 miles or about a 20-minute drive from Lincoln Financial Field. They have free Wi-Fi. They have a coffee maker, private bathrooms, obviously. There's the Hilton Garden Inn. It's described as arguably the best part of town near the historic Reading Terminal Market. It's 7 miles from the stadium. Sonesta Philadelphia Rittenhouse Square is also still available. It's about a 15-minute drive from the stadium. Sofitel Philadelphia at Rittenhouse Square has availability, and then 4 Points by Sheraton has availability. I don't know who is going to pay tickets to go to Philly. That's going to be a tough game. I mean, do I think that my team can pull it off? Of course I do. But this is going to be tough. I mean, Dallas was tough, and many people were saying it shouldn't have been as tough as it was. But fingers crossed. I'll be watching on my couch, which is the best place to watch any sort of game. It just is. And SARS, I use a light rail free parking lot for the SF game too. Yeah, there you go. I mean, here's the thing. Murphy writes in, how do people not recognize how early they should go to Levi? Good point. My other problem that I have with Levi's is how the parking lots are so separated. I mean, in comparison to the Stick, when everyone was just there, the tailgating was the party. Now, they have some epic tailgating parties. We've even attended a couple of them at Levi Stadium. But, they're in different parking lots. They're not all together. It does kind of suck. But, yeah, you got to get there early. You just do.
It's not the first time, though, that Levi's Stadium has had trouble with parking. I mean, there have been monster jam ups before. I mean, this is an ongoing issue. So.
Yeah, it always is. It really, really is. Wes says, I'm used to these kinds of traffic delays, literally 6 miles from Disney World, but can take 45 minutes to get there. See, that's at some point you just want to walk. Jim, yeah, some of my friends of mine parked at my house and rode in on bikes. It is literally so simple. It's just the only way to go. So honestly, keep it in mind for any future seasons. Obviously, the weekend was marred by tragedy. I know, Kim, you've been following the very latest on the Monterey Park shooting. I mean, it's one of those things where it's sad to say there was also another shooting, although I don't know at this point if anyone died in Louisiana. I think 10 people were shot and injured, although that looks to be a targeted attack. But it's sad because 10 people died, right? Elderly people, middle-aged people during a Lunar New Year celebration. You would think, like, Jesus. And of course, we don't know the motive yet, at least the last time I was checking the news, Kim. But, I feel like we're really becoming desensitized. It used to be, a shooting that killed so many people, especially on a holiday weekend. Not that it's not getting attention, but God, it just has this feeling of, yeah, that's what happens. And it's so sad that it does.
Yeah.
But there's actually a Texas Republican, Michael McCall, who was talking on CNN about the mass shooting. I want to play for you what he said. And I don't necessarily disagree with him. My concern is that I'm not quite sure if this Congress, this Senate, this House of Representatives could actually get anything done. Here he is again. This is Texas Republican Michael McCall on CNN.
Ask you about what we're seeing in Monterey Park, California.
Yeah.
In your home state of Texas, there have been a lot of mass shootings. Uvalde, Sutherland Springs, El Paso, Santa Fe. You voted no on bipartisan gun legislation last summer that got a pretty big bipartisan vote. It was pretty incremental also. Would you support any gun control measures in this Congress?
You know, I was a counterterrorism federal prosecutor. I was chairman of Homeland Security. You know, Chicago has probably some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, yet the highest murder rate. So, you know, the way I look at it is we need the intelligence, we need information sharing, we need to connect the dots. Every one of these cases, and I guarantee you're going to see it in this one as well, the shooter had warning signs along the way. We just didn't respond or pick it up. So in my judgment, we could create a system. I introduced a bill that we could take public information on the internet, have an algorithm to stop the threat before it happens. That is a smart approach rather than, you know, violating Second Amendment rights. And so, look, I hope we can get that passed. We're seeing this movie way too many times.
Yeah, we are.
And it's absolutely tragic.
Yeah. What about a red flag law? Federal red flag.
Well, in a way, what I'm talking about are red flags, and every one of these. But you know, Chicago, Illinois has red flag laws.
I know. Well, you keep bringing up Chicago, which I understand, but the guns in Chicago come in from other places because there are a patchwork of laws across the country. There's no federal law.
Right. Again, we stopped, and I saw it when I chaired Homeland. So many terror attacks because we got the threat information in advance and we stopped it. We can use that same formula here domestically, although it's a little different. You know, the Constitution didn't apply overseas, but we can do that here and stop these threats before they happen.
There has to be a desire. There really has to be a desire to do this. And just as we're talking about it, Kim writes in, I got a CNN alert about a shooting at a charter school in Des Moines, Iowa a few minutes ago. And yeah, there was one.
It's so interesting. I was just putting that in the news, and I had to look at it and think to myself, do people really need to know about another school shooting? So I'm making this decision as to whether or not to tell everyone about this school shooting in Iowa based on so many other school shootings. And it now becomes one of just a plethora of shootings. And is it news to you now? Do you need to know about another school shooting? How sad is that? That's the decision-making process that I have to go through.
Exactly. So
a school shooting. Someone opened fire at a school. That should be top news. And it isn't anymore because it's commonplace.
3 people reportedly wounded.
Yeah.
It was at it's called Starts Right Here. It's an educational mentorship program in downtown Des Moines. 3 people, one of them a teacher, were taken to the hospital, 2 in critical, 1 in serious condition. Police stopped a vehicle, took multiple people into custody, but the police did not say whether they were suspected in the shooting. You know, on one hand, you want to know, right? You want to know the motive. I want to know the motive for the Monterey Park shooting. On the other hand, I was listening to the news this morning, and it's like, well, obviously, was it mental illness? And every time they say, I'm like, obviously, mental illness has to play some sort of role in this, you know?
I haven't seen it yet, but we had a listener on the Mark Thompson show check in and say the shooter is alleged to have been looking for his wife on this Lunar New Year celebration.
Really? I didn't hear that.
Some type of domestic violence issue. I haven't confirmed it either, and I've been poking around trying to figure that out, where that information came from, but that was from a listener, so it's unconfirmed.
Yeah, I mean, even if he was, to take a gun and shoot randomly at all of these people, not that killing your wife is any better, but it's just become where, you know, just because you're pissed off about fill in the blank doesn't mean you get to just go and murder people. You know, there are so many school shootings. There's so many club shootings, random shootings now. I hope these people don't think they're getting any notoriety from this nonsense. It's just, It's so upsetting because you can't maintain a level of outrage because it happens so often. It's not healthy for us to maintain that level of outrage and sadness over these tragedies because we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning if we did. If I had the same reaction to every single shooting, random shooting as I did to like Newtown, I would never get out of bed. I would never get out of bed. I mean, it would just compound until this whole, and then maybe that's what's happening to us. Maybe, yes, we get out of bed and we go to work and we do all these things, but the numbness is the hurt. It is the pain. And it's so sad that this is happening and we just can't get it together. The answer is, it is an obvious one. I mean, we could talk about mental health. We could talk all of that. It is the access to guns. Every other place around the world still has angry people, pissed off people, mentally ill people. But we are unique in our access to guns. And there is no resolution to this. I mean, we have these conversations all the time. There is no compromise in some people's minds. They are willing to say, yeah, I would rather have the freedom to use a gun at the sacrifice of innocent lives. That is an exchange I am willing to make. That's what people are saying when they don't support, let's just say something like a federal red flag law or another assault weapons ban, or they would rather say, no, my Second Amendment right is more important than the possibility of saving human lives. It is that simple. And we can do the good guy with the gun nonsense all you want. But the truth of the matter is, when the assault weapons ban was in effect, we saw a decline in these types of shootings. And when it was lifted and not renewed, we saw an increase. And not only an increase, but the increase of number of people who own these types of weapons. And for some people, and unfortunately too many people, it's a fair exchange. It's okay that you keep in the back of your mind, if you're at a grocery store or a concert or a Lunar New Year celebration, you just might get shot.
You know, it's interesting when you played the clip there and the person was asked, what about a federal red flag law? And they hem and they haw and they're like, I don't know. Well,
it's kind of like what I'm asking for. Well, just say it then.
Well, we know that red flag laws have worked. Studies have shown that by trusted researchers on gun violence, at least researchers that I trust, including Garen Wintemute at UC Davis. So we know that red flag laws have the capacity to impact mass shootings. Why wouldn't we use what we have at our disposal then? If we can see that works, and not in all cases, but in many cases, right? We can't get rid of it, but we can make an impact on it. Then why wouldn't we want to save lives by doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why wouldn't we? Yeah. Well, because it doesn't play for some people politically. All of this really does come down to the fact that there's too many politicians that want to cover their own ass and don't want to make waves. It's an election year, blah, 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 blah. And they're not willing to do it. John mentioned that mass murder in Central Valley. 6 people were killed. A baby was killed. Now, and I'm not saying this is okay, but we know what the motive likely was. We do believe
drug cartel.
It was a drug cartel. Yeah, it was the drug cartel. Not saying that that's in any way, shape, or form.
Is awful.
It's awful. But I think there's an added layer when it seems random, even though they're all horrifically equal. Right. Right. But when you don't know
there's
why,
someone taking pot shots at people, it feels like that could have been you. It could have been someone in your family. It could have been anybody in this world. And they were just happened to be there and happened to get shot. Exactly. Whereas in a case where it's a targeted drug cartel situation, it doesn't make the loss of life any less painful or awful, but it's a different situation.
Exactly. And it's sad that we can't come together as human beings, put the politics aside, and like, obviously, we need to look at the situation and see it as it is. There are too many of these types of guns, or just guns in general. Okay. If you don't want me to target the AR-15s, fine. But there's just too many guns. And if you want to say, yeah, well, mental illness, then there's too many mentally ill people. And so we, as a nation, can't handle the responsibility that the Second Amendment gave us. And so until we can, and until we reduce it, we need to work on reducing the access to guns. But we're not going to get there. I don't, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer today on, on a Monday. I know it's tough, but it's true. And so we need to either start lobbying our politicians, not vote for politicians that won't support common sense laws like this, or we're just going to continue to do this, and it's just going to be part of daily life. Like car accidents, you know what? You have a car, you might get in an accident. You live in America, you might get shot randomly. Isn't that a brutal truth? Isn't that a brutal truth? That sucks. All right. We're going to do Kim's news. I'll get to some of your comments. Again, click that thumbs up button. If you enjoy the show, it really helps us out. And again, please support our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, who is actually taking a much needed vacation right now. But AAA tax deal, Moskowitz LLP is how you find him. We'll be talking about actually tax season coming up later on in the show, because it's officially tax season. Today is the start officially of tax season.
So soon? What?
I know. It sucks. But Steve is the guy to call to help you out if you have any issues.
Thank goodness.
Kim's going to do some news. And then I do have an announcement that my Patreon subscribers are well aware of. So that is coming up in the next half hour. Also, remember it was, I want to say about a week and a half ago, 10 days ago, I was talking about how Chasten Buttigieg, the husband of Pete Buttigieg, was like talking back to Fox News. I think it was Tucker Carlson saying, go yell at Eminem or something. I thought he was just making a joke because Fox News hosts and conservatives go after the stupidest topics. But there was actually a story with the M&Ms. And now on the unemployment line are the Eminem spokescandies. They're out of a job. Now, I want to ask you guys, is this a win for conservatives? Is this ridiculous? Or did Mars Eminem make the right business move? So I'll explain that whole nonsense story. But first, the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Unfortunately, the death toll from the Lunar New Year shooting has increased at this point. It is a mass shooting in Southern California that Nikki had mentioned, and the death toll is now up to 11. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health says one of the 4 patients from Saturday night's shooting in Monterey Park, who was being treated at the hospital, has now died. Doctors describe that patient's injuries as extensive. So now 11 people dead in that Monterey Park shooting. Police say at least 2 people are in custody in connection with a school shooting in Iowa. You see, yes, I did decide to tell you about this shooting. This is a charter school in Iowa's capital city. Police responding to the scene in downtown Des Moines this afternoon, they found 3 people injured, 2 of them in critical condition. The identities of the suspects haven't been disclosed. Neither has a motive for the shooting, but again, 2 people under arrest. This is a big thing in the city of Oakland, where Oakland Police Chief Leron Armstrong has been placed on paid administrative leave. Well, today he's made a statement. He says he wants to be reinstated immediately. And I think it's a big deal to put the chief of police on paid administrative leave. It really shakes confidence in the department and leadership. But Chief Armstrong was put on administrative leave after a report indicated that he closed a couple internal investigations involving an officer too quickly. In one case, an officer was involved in a car crash. The other, a gun went off in an elevator. The Chief Armstrong says in the first incident, where an officer hit and damaged a parked vehicle in a garage, that action was taken against that officer. In the second, same officer apparently discharged his weapon in an elevator. The chief says the police department has started an investigation, that they were following every policy and procedure, and they had placed the officer in question on administrative leave one day after he made his admission. Chief Armstrong saying, I want the public to know I followed all policies, protocols, and procedures in these 2 incidents detailed in this summary report. So he says he followed the rules and he wants to be taken off administrative leave, and he wants it done now. Officials with the University of California, UC, there it is, University of California, are looking to add spots for in-state students by the 2026-27 academic year. The UC system, along with Governor Gavin Newsom, announcing changes to the UC budget and policy as part of its 2022 multi-year compact annual report. Now, this report states the UC system will raise enrollment of in-state residents by 1% per year between the 2023-24 and 2026-27 academic years. The goal is to have no more than 18% of the university's undergraduates be out-of-state students. A big deal because for a while they were foregoing admitting California students to the UC system because when you admit out-of-state or even out-of-country students, the university gets a lot more money for that. So we'll see how that happens. A portion of road in Santa Cruz falling into the ocean. Yeah, it's West Cliff Drive. You can see it right there, tumbling right down into the sea. Well, crews have now started constructing today on West Cliff Drive. That road, the scenic street along the waterfront, recent storms bringing with it huge waves, causing the road and the cliff just to crumble right into the ocean. 200 boulders and pieces of fabric will be put into place to reinforce and protect the exposed cliff until a more permanent fix can be put into place. That road for now, obviously partially closed, West Cliff Drive. Tax season will see thousands of new customer service agents be put into place at the IRS. Some 5,000 new representatives will help cut call waiting times and shorten the processing time for paper tax returns. Only 13% of more than 170 million calls to the IRS were actually answered by live agents last year. 8% were answered with automated assistance. Elon Musk claims a controversial tweet about taking Tesla private. It wasn't really a joke. No, not so much at all. Company facing a shareholder lawsuit over this tweet that proposed taking Tesla private for $420 a share. Musk said he'd met with Saudi sovereign wealth fund executives about the funding, and he believed that they would actually proceed with that deal. Speaking of money, there's a group of major banks looking to compete with Apple and Apple Pay, Google Pay, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and other banks are reportedly now all teaming up to launch a digital wallet that would rival Apple Pay, PayPal, and others. The Wall Street Journal reports Visa and MasterCard are already on board to participate. It turns out, if you want to look by age range at people struggling the most with credit card debt, yeah, it's Gen X struggling the most with credit card debt. Unfortunately, Gen Xers look to be struggling. The recent New York life insurance study finding the average amount of credit card debt owned by Gen Xers just over $7,000. That's compared to $6,700 owned by baby boomers, $5,900 owned by millennials, and $2,800 for Gen Zers. Gen X made up of those aged 43 to 58. And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can see the website right over here, MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
I haven't filed a tax return in years. What should I do?
Not filing a tax return for years isn't a surprisingly common problem. And the number one reason people don't file is just because they didn't have the money in year one, and then year two runs around, and then they say, well, how can I file year two if they didn't file year one and they still don't have the money? And then it becomes a lifestyle, a criminal-like lifestyle. The other reason is somebody depended on somebody, a spouse, a business partner, they're gone, they don't know what to do. The bottom line is we can get all of the records that the IRS and the state has on you. We'll file all the returns that you need to file, no matter how many years it is. And then if you're the typical person and you just don't have the money to pay the taxes, that's okay. There's all kinds of good options for you. In almost all cases, we do everything for you. You don't have to talk to the government, deal with them, have anything to do with them. And don't stick your head in the sand because the IRS is hiring 87,000 new IRS agents and you don't want them knocking on your door.
This is not legal advice, and you should consult with your tax attorney or professional.
All right, that is Steve Moskowitz, our exclusive founding sponsor. And thank you to everybody in the chat that has been donating in our super chat. Wes started us off with $10. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Jay Siller with $10. Lunch is on you. Oh, I see some tacos and wine.
Nice. We've got little footballs there too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There we go, buddy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, as promised, I like the footballs. So that was a good reminder to me. All right, look at this. Hold on.
I deleted one. I'm so sorry.
How dare you?
I know.
How
So
dare
awful.
you? Oh, I will
was
put it
deleting
back.
all my news pictures.
I
and then
will put it back.
I did it.
All right.
I did it.
Okay, so I was talking earlier about how George Kittle had given his ball to Jerry Rice, who's been going to like every single game lately. I mean, why not? The Niners are totally winning. He's wearing this gigantic like football thing that's all bedazzled and diamonds and everything around his neck. And I said, I met Jerry at Station X when they brought him over there. So I literally jumped into this man's arms. So here's my first picture. I was like so happy. So happy.
He's like, lady, who are you?
Oh, it didn't even, I was like, I don't, look at that.
Oh, look at you. You're like, I love you, Jerry Rice.
That is basically what I did. That is pure happiness. I was so very happy. I mean, I'm sure, people, shake his hand or whatever, but yeah, I have to find my body.
I'm in for the hug. Open up, I'm coming in.
Ronnie Lott too. So the story with Ronnie Lott, hold on, let me look it up. Let's see if I can find it real quickly. So the story with Ronnie Lott was, I was doing news in our old, not engineer, the head of the desk, right? Producer, I guess. George. Okay.
George
is working the desk. And he's like
desk editor.
There you go.
Executive producer, whatnot.
Whatever. Yeah, he was like the director of the whole damn show. He was excellent. He goes, Ronnie Lott's down at KMBR. And I look at him and I'm like, you do not let that man leave this building until I have taken a picture with him. And I'm in the middle of a newscast. This is when we were just doing straight news. I'm like, I don't even care. I was like, you do not let him. And he was standing. So our studios have these like clear doors, right, that you can see through them. And he's standing like right outside there. And I just hurried up and finished my newscast. And I think it was Brett Burkhardt who was anchoring with me. I just passed along to him. I'm like, I'll be back. I was like, I left in the whole studio. I'm like, I will be back. And
you left in the middle of a newscast?
I was like, okay, I'm out.
I love it.
I'm totally out. Let's see. It was such a great picture of Ronnie Lott. I'll find it. But yeah, so I got to print all of these pictures out and do like a celebrity wall. Do you ever do that, Kim? With all the people that we've met over the years, do you ever
I never usually ask for pictures. And the reason is because I always felt like
this is a new thing and they're not a celebrity.
I didn't want to be seen as a fan. Like I wanted to be seen as someone who was like, I don't know.
Above it all, but then you're asked out and you don't have a picture. Not me.
And then I don't have a picture and I can't prove that I met any of these people. But
look again. No shame. No shame whatsoever. I literally was like, and he was so nice. He did go, whoa. And I was like, I'm hugging you. I love you. I was so pure in my adoration for this guy that I don't think he could have turned me down. I don't think he ever would have been like, who is this nutso woman that's like all over me right now? Because he knew. It was like making my day that I was able to do that. So, I'll always love Jerry. Jerry is so excellent. But anyways.
And you know what's funny about that is Ron Owens always had a picture with all of his guests.
Yes.
And so I don't know why I was so like, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to get them because it's a moment. In our business, we got to do really cool things. We got to meet really cool people. And we have the stories to go with it. But you know what? You can have those pictures. That's why people have celebrity pictures is because it's really cool. All right. Speaking of things to keep, let me do this real quickly because I teased it. And then did I not put them in yet? Okay. I'm going to put them in real quick. So if you're part of my Patreon, if you're a member of my Patreon, then you already know what I'm about to say. But I have some new merchandise that I was able to do while I was in the hospital with my daughter last week. Because I kind of have to design it and then do it. Now, full disclosure, I've been getting some feedback on some of the t-shirts that they might run a little small, which I think I did tell you guys to go up, especially the big logo one, to go up a size. You may want to keep that in mind, that things typically run small, but these are very well made hoodies. I finally did the hoodies, and the hoodies have something new on them because you guys love this design, the air tower, the radio tower behind me. Now I could not find that exact design. All right, but I worked on it. So I have a black and a white hoodie. So here's the black one. And that red right there is the radio tower. I know, right? Isn't he kind of handsome? That's just the models that they do on the website. It's not like I found the guy and I'm like, here, but not.
Well, hello in your Nikki Medoro hoodie.
Right, and then of course it has a logo on the back, and then we have a white one because I know some people really like white, and so it's white with a black air tower right there. You can kind of see it a little bit better. And then it has a logo on the back. And then I was like, what else could I do that kind of runs at a lower price point? Because I know you guys, not everybody can afford a hoodie, and the hoodies are expensive. But I was like, if you're listening to this show, which I know a lot of you do, you're walking around, you're working, AirPods. So we got the AirPod cases. Aren't those cute? And those are the original, and we have the Pro. So you can get those. Okay. And of course, all of this is on my website, the Nikki Medoro Shop. shop.com. It's very easy to remember. It's not the Nikki Medoro Show. It's the Nikki Medoro Shop.com. And I've already had from Patreon people that got the early access. I just let them know. I mean, if you regularly visit my shop, you probably already knew this because there's no way of me hiding it from the actual shop. But I let people know that we're Patreon subscribers a couple days early before the weekend, and some of you have taken advantage of it. So get stuff while it's hot, and we'll see what can stay, what can go. But there you go. If you wanted a hoodie, and a lot of you have reached out wanting a hoodie, the next one, because I was showing my best friend these, Kim. Let's just say my friend is well endowed. Okay. She's like, I need a zip up. She's like, I don't want the pull over the head hoodie. I want a zip up. So the zip up is coming. And that should be an easy thing to do. I just got to find the other one and just slap it all on there. So the zip up, if that's what you prefer, which actually I prefer as well. I don't know why I didn't make that originally. Instead of pulling something over my head and ruin my hair and my makeup and all that kind of nonsense. So that is coming. And so stay tuned. And when that comes, I will, of course, let you know. Oh, and look. I have airbags, so those are perfect. Perfect, the Lady Beatrice. Get it while the getting's good. Okay. But you know what's going away and has gotten their pink slips are the Eminem spokescandies. Now, again, it was 10 days ago that Chasten Buttigieg, the husband of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, tweeted that Fox News should go yell at an Eminem in response to a report criticizing Pete Buttigieg taking paternity leave. Now, this was a year ago. And, on one hand, what I find really ironic, okay, is the fact that Fox News always seems to call out what they say are nonsense stories, things like that, right? And yet, they find themselves at the center of what I would say are the stupidest frigging, controversies of our time. And so here, this is from a year ago. I'm just letting you know. This was a year ago when Tucker Carlson was taking on M&Ms. And let me share my screen because I got to play this for you. Because on one hand, it's not news. On the other hand, they're using their platform to do it.
It's so asinine and absurd, and what a waste of time.
Here we go. Listen to this. Oh, here we go.
To NPR, but here's a story they might want to cover pretty soon and doubtless will. M&M's, the candy company, has just announced that it's redesigning its cartoon characters to be more gender inclusive.
Shut up, Tucker Carlson.
Right. Like, what is so bad with this? I don't get it.
Bet you didn't think M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they were. They've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers. Why the change? Well, according to M&M's, quote, we all win when we see more women in leading roles because leading women do not wear sexy boots. Leading women wear frumpy shoes. The frumpier, the better. That's the rule. The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. Eminem.
Anyone else kind of disturbed by Tucker Carlson's definition of what sexy is? I mean, whatever. Okay, go on.
Will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity.
I mean, but look at that. There's no real difference.
Who's gonna get sexually aroused by a Eminem spokesperson
Who wants to have
anyway?
a drink with a fake character? You're not going to want to have a drink with them. They're not real, Tucker. You friggin' moron. And I will say this, just looking, if you guys can look closely, the one on the right has the block, like kind of heel, which is a heel I prefer and can be sexy. Tucker, you're getting off on candy M&Ms. You're a moron.
They've won.
Oh, go ahead.
One could argue that, you know, the way in which they dress the Eminem spokespeople,
They're not wearing clothes, but okay.
Somehow reflects society and what we are, you know, interested in, or what will make us go out and buy M&Ms. And so it's a reflection on, you know, who we are. I think we're getting way too into it, though, don't you? It's like it's just a commercial.
Exactly. All right, let's just finish up with this stupid ass. All right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in a nod to the burgeoning wellness movement, the orange M&M will, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety. And actually, if you look at him, the orange M&M does appear very anxious. Maybe he doesn't like all the ugly new shoes he sees around him. Maybe he liked the sexy boots. Maybe the orange M&M is a secret sexist himself.
I had to finish playing it because it's so funny. But now, Kim,
he doesn't even say it with humor.
No,
I mean, he says it straight. Like he's it's not even
a joke. Are we missing it though? I mean, if you watch Tucker, are we missing the joke? I mean, is that his shtick? Like he just does it deadpan, but people that watch his show all the time know that he's kidding?
He doesn't make it funny.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, I'm laughing at him, Tucker.
Well, at him,
you're confused.
I'm laughing at him. I'm not laughing at the topic, which is actually kind of funny.
No,
right?
No, I'm gonna lower this a little bit. It's driving me nuts. Okay. So now I have to play you. Now this was actually more recent. This is from earlier this month when Fox News' Martha McCallum claims that female Eminem characters embolden our enemies. Now, Kim, I did not know that an M&M commercial or a spokescandy, because that's a thing, could do it. But apparently, this is where we've gotten.
Women M&M. The parent company for M&M's, Mars, has debuted new feminist bags of, quote, celebrate women everywhere who are flipping the status quo. The new brand features an all-female lineup of M&M characters.
God forbid.
One includes green and brown M&Ms holding bags on the beach. Because I guess that's all we do as women, right? I don't know.
Hang out together and go to the beach.
Because I mean, that's not what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
But anyway, a purple M&M was added to push acceptance and inclusivity. Okay. When you look at the package, the women are upside down. And I understand flip, but thank you very much. We stand on our own. We don't need to be
two
shown on the
snaps.
package.
First of all, they're not women. They're
Exactly.
I mean, if this is what you need for validation, an M&M that is a color that you think is associated with feminism, then I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say like, oh, good, keep focusing on that. Yeah. Keep focusing on giving people their own color M&Ms while we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
But they're the ones spending time talking about it. I mean, I know I am, but I'm just laughing at them. But it's just like, you guys have chosen to take on Eminem and nobody else. And nobody else is wasting their time with this. So now the latest news, unfortunately, is they've decided to kill off the spokescandies. So here was the announcement. This is from Eminem. America, let's talk. In the last year, we've made some changes to our beloved spokescandies. We weren't sure if anyone would even notice. And we definitely didn't think it would break the internet. Thank you, Fox News. But now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing. which was the last thing Eminem wanted since we're all about bringing people together. Therefore, we have decided to take an indefinite pause from the spokescandies. In their place, we are proud to introduce a spokesperson America can agree on, the beloved Maya Rudolph, who I actually do love, but
Yeah.
we are confident Ms. Rudolph will champion the power of fun to create a world where everyone feels they belong. Thoughts? Do you think that Eminem Mars Candy has given in to people like Tucker Carlson? Or is it like, you know what? We don't need the nonsense. We're just going to take it away. And the poor spokescandies are in the unemployment line.
You know what? The more I kind of agree with Randy here, the more people talk about it, whether it's stupid,
Yeah.
to point out their shoes or whatever else, the more people are, if they're whining and complaining over a commercial or just mentioning it, I feel like, as what do they say? All attention is good attention.
Right.
Bad attention is
There's
some
no such
attention,
thing as
whatever.
bad publicity. Yeah.
So it's like, why change? Why change anything? If you're getting attention for it, isn't that what you want? That all you need is the word M&Ms on people's lips, and people are like,
That's true.
Kind
That's
of feel like
true.
some M&Ms right now, right?
That's a good point.
So,
But does it? I mean, it reminds me of, are people going to, like when people don't like a player, like they did with Kaepernick's jersey, they burned their jersey even though they already bought it. Are people going to buy M&Ms to throw M&Ms down the drain to prove a point because they don't like the spokescandies? It seems ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous to take on a candy company. Yeah, I completely agree, Ms. Organic. People are way too sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nick, they think they're taking the high road. Right-wing crazies will celebrate it. Now, I'm leaning towards that, Nick. On one hand, I get what Kim's saying, right? Hey, they're talking about M&Ms. Maybe people are going to start being in the mood for M&Ms. If you like M&Ms, you're still going to like M&Ms. On the other hand, this is the problem with Fox News, is they gin up all of this outrage over something that probably no one would have noticed, right? It's like Janet Jackson's nipple on a candy bag. Like nobody would have noticed or paid that much attention if you just would have let it go, but you didn't. You harped on it, so now it's splashed in our face, even though we don't want to see it.
Now, what ridiculous thing will they harp on?
I have no idea, but it's ridiculous. It really is. I'm going to include this one too. I got a couple of these stories. Maybe I should wait. I'm going to throw one more in, and then I'm going to do a Tom Hanks one. Should I do the Tom Hanks first? Well, let's do it all. So Disney World has begun getting rid of Splash Mountain. Now you remember why they're getting rid of Splash Mountain, right, Kim?
Yeah, because it's based on an old racist cartoon, right?
Yeah, Song of the South. In 1946, it was a film. More than 21,000 people signed a change.org petition stating that the ride is steeped in extremely problematic and stereotypical racist tropes. So yesterday was the last splash down on Splash Mountain at Disney World. It's been in operation since 1992. Disneyland will also be shutting it down. It opened in Disneyland in 1989, so it's even older. It's going to close soon, although we don't have a specific date. And both of the rides will reopen as Tiana's Bayou Adventure in
the Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Right. And so it's kind of, I think it's a great way to make a point where you take an old racist cartoon and then you flip it and you turn the ride into the first Black Disney princess.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, good.
Okay.
Done.
Now this is the last one where we're kind of getting, are you offended? Are you not offended? And this has to do with the late great Mr. Rogers. And I saw this and I was like, okay, why are people doing this? And I think it's just to kind of create this controversy. The poor guy's dead. Like, let him, rest in peace. Watch this video. So the headline reads, did Tom Hanks know Mr. Rogers was a transphobe before he played him in the movie? Now listen to this.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady. Only girls can be the mommies. Only.
Only boys can be the daddies. Sorry, I clipped it right there. Thoughts, Kim?
Different era, different time. We have changed our way of thinking and grown as society has grown. And Mr. Rogers was a product of his time. And I believe that if Mr. Rogers were alive today, he was a forward thinking guy and he would be looking at the world in a different way.
I'm
And
so glad you said that.
it is true that for most people, if you are born a certain gender, you will spend your life in that role. That is true for the majority of people. But for some people, it isn't. And that's becoming more accepted to be who you are. And I think one of the key tenets of Mr. Rogers was always be who you are. And
Well,
so I mean, I don't think you can take that something from the past and apply it to now.
well, this will make you feel better because he did realize. So apparently, becoming more sensitive to gender issues, Fred Rogers slightly altered the lyrics to Everybody's Fancy, which was the song he was singing, for a CD release. The original lyrics were only girls can be the mommies, only boys can be the daddies. The altered lyrics were changed to girls grow up to be the mommies, boys grow up to be the daddies. So it's not as if he wasn't. See, he did what you hope most people do, which is you learn about people. You
Right.
learn their stories, you learn about their life, you learn about who they are, and you change your view of that. And I think that Mr. Rogers is the epitome of someone that learns and listens to others. And I think, we're talking about something like, transgender issues and things like that. There are people that just make knee-jerk reactions about stuff without actually knowing anybody and knowing the story and knowing that experience. And so I had to respond to that guy that was sharing that video because I was like, there's no way that I felt exactly like you, Kim. There is no way that if Mr. Rogers was educated on this whole entire thing, that he would not, and he didn't. And he changed the lyrics. So we ended on a high note with the whole Mr. Rogers. Okay, we're going to do Kim's news. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about tax season. Steve Moskowitz is on a much needed vacation, but we will talk about the 5 things you need to know about the changes coming up this year. A viewer reached out about the PG&E bills that they've been receiving. Let me know in the comments, what was your bill last month? Who's going to win with the highest bill? Because it's been insane. I have been reaching out to Loretta Lynch, who was on with Pat Thurston at Station X so often. So Pat gave me her email. I've sent her an email, so I'm hoping to get a response, but we'll get into it just a bit. Also, there are some people that are explaining why they never wanted to go back into the workforce. And the simple reason is, you guessed it, a lot of people are becoming like the spokescandies and are getting laid off. What would you do if you just moved in and your boss is like, goodbye? We'll talk about all that. Plus, again, click that thumbs up button. It helps the show, and we love it so much. And here's Kim with the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. As a senior Democrat, it says President Biden should not be negotiating with Republicans regarding the debt ceiling. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin urged people be wary of so-called GOP budget balancers when looking at the amount of debt accumulated during the Trump presidency. The U.S. reached its technical borrowing limit last week, but the Treasury Department says it will be able to pay the government's bills through June. California COVID numbers do not reveal a wave of infections this winter season like that of the last 2 years. Case counts from across California dropped steadily since the middle of December after seeing an increase in November. Other COVID metrics have also improved since December. The state did not see a record-setting spike in infections or surge in hospitalizations. Recent analysis shows wastewater signals decreasing in the greater Sacramento, San Joaquin Valley, and Southern California regions, and plateauing in the Bay Area and Northern California. That according to the State Department of Public Health. Still, health experts say the most transmissible COVID variant yet is XBB 1.5. That's a mouthful. It is spreading in California right now, and projections show by late February that variant could be the dominant strain in the state of California. New York City soon will be using the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal to shelter incoming migrants. Over the weekend, Mayor Eric Adams announced that this terminal will house about 100,000 single men asylum seekers as the city continues to look for more places for them. Adams says the city keeps surpassing both its moral and legal obligations to meet the needs of all the people that are arriving in New York. Ghislaine Maxwell claims that infamous photo of her with Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre is fake. She makes a comment during a recent jailhouse interview with the UK's Talk TV. Giuffre had filed a lawsuit against the British royal for sexual abuse, but he settled that case while denying the accusations last year. Now, again, Ghislaine Maxwell says that picture not even real. We'll see. There is no evidence, Nikki, that the employees at a Colorado Taco Bell put rat poison in a customer's food.
Was this the Wendy's finger all over again or what?
This, according to investigators, they started looking into this incident after an unidentified man complained about becoming violently ill after eating food he got from the restaurant in Aurora, January 15th. Apparently, there was a big hoopla with him, a big fight over something going on with the drink machine between an employee and this customer.
Okay.
And after the fight over the drink machine, the customer says he was served this food item that made him super sick. Well, tests confirm the presence of rat poison in the food, but video and interviews conducted at the Taco Bell found no evidence that anyone at that restaurant was responsible for that at all.
So did he poison himself to kind of get back at the employees?
Or was it accidental? Did something happen and it just happened to
Did he
land in
accidentally
his
put
burrito?
rat poison next to your food? No. I mean, don't even make any
happened.
jokes about my Taco Bell being like rat poison, but I mean.
Or yeah, maybe it was self-inflicted. Who knows? But
I'm thinking
apparently
self-inflicted. I bet you. Arrgh.
no proof to say that anybody at Taco Bell was responsible for that.
There you go.
This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, you must call Steve Moskowitz, a founding sponsor of the Nikki Medoro Show. He is at 888-TAX-DEAL. He is also at MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the second hour of the Nikki Medoro Show. And I do want to say thank you to tax attorney Steve Moskowitz, 888 Tax Deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. Listen, people, I don't know if you know this, but today is officially the start of tax season. The IRS has said January 23rd. They've set that date as the official start of tax filing season. Now, the filing deadline is not April 15th, but April 18th this year. And there are some things that you should know before you're filing. One, of course, is to give Steve a call. If you have any sort of questions, and believe me, sometimes I feel like Kim, I'm becoming one of those stories that he talks about where people are like, or he's always like, the sleep of the innocent. Not that I think I'm doing anything wrong, but I'm in the process of moving. So I'm packing things up. And so I have to go through all these paperwork. And it's becoming like, don't throw it away. Steve might need it. I was like, I don't know. I'm going to throw something away. I have to change my address. What do I do if I can't get my W-2? I mean, I know they gave us some sort of like login thing over at Station X, but I haven't gotten my W-2 from them. Like, it's just stressful. So give Steve a call because he will ease your mind. And I had a date with him to talk about tax thing and then the thing with my daughter. So that's been put off. So yeah. The sooner you get it taken care of, the sooner you'll sleep better. So I need to get a hold of that. But here are things you need to keep in mind as we head towards the filing deadline of April 18th. One, of course, is that you can always file for an extension, right? So if you want an extension, you have to file, you have until October 16th to file. October 16th is when you have to file for an extension.
Okay.
Now, the reason why it's April 18th is the filing deadline is because of Emancipation Day in DC, and the holiday falls on April 17th. If you made $73,000 or less in 2022, you're eligible for IRS's free file program. And I feel like because we're in the news, Kim, we feel like I think we take advantage. Oh, of course, people know that you could file for free. But I think there's a lot of people that just kind of Google like how to file, and then you're paying for something that you don't have to pay for. And so if you make under that amount, you can totally file for free and you don't have to worry about it. What else? Obviously, the quickest way to check on your refund is irs.gov. If you pick up the phone, I hope you don't have anything to do for the day or the week or the month. I don't know, but
Can we go back for a minute? Because when you say file for free, does that mean that no matter what, as long as you made below that amount, you won't owe any taxes?
Oh no, that's just to file, like to do the paperwork for free. Because like if you
Isn't it always free to file?
No, it's not always free to file.
Your taxes?
You have to pay for tax preparation. For some people do.
Well, if you decide to go to someone, a lot of people do it themselves.
Well, of course. But I mean, I would even say, and I've never used anything like
point?
TurboTax. No, so the software will do it for you. If you make $73,000 or less, the IRS.gov.
They're going to come and get you they'll get it for free.
The free it's free federal return if you qualify. You'll get some guided preparation and all those sorts of things.
Okay.
Some state tax preparation and filings are free. Some of them you have to pay though.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's okay. It's okay. No, but
my brain was all scrambling.
Sometimes you do have to pay though. But if you make under that amount, again, $73,000 or less, you can file for free. Now the IRS has set January 27th, so that's in 4 days, as a special day for people to make sure they understand about the earned income tax credit. Now, this of course helps low and moderate income workers and families. Let's see, if you can just go to irs.gov and see if you qualify. There's certain questionnaires that you have to kind of meet, and fill that out. But don't miss out on any sort of credits. That's another thing that Steve Moskowitz can help you with. He's going to look for every little single thing that you can possibly write off or what have you. So again, 888 tax deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. He will help you. It's never too early to call him. It's never too late to call him. And so you really need to do it. Oh, Wes. I worked at Google. Wes writes, I left in 2010, then 7 years later had a surprise from the IRS. Steve Moskowitz and his team got me out of a bind. Look at that. They helped me make a compromise. There you go. Steve always talks about that compromise that he can work on. And you know what the best part, this is the thing for me. You don't have to talk to the IRS. They'll do it. They'll do it. They'll find you, your forms if you need to, or all sorts of things. Square says, I miss the tax guru, Steve, but I understand he's due for a break now and then. I don't think it's a coincidence, Kim, that the first day of Steve's vacation is the first day of tax filing season. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go on a much needed vacation. And when I come back, I'm going to work my butt off for all of these people. So
I'm still working on it, Andrew. I haven't turned in my papers yet.
Oh, so it's too early. Today's the first day that you can get it. So, there's going to be a race to see who can do a better job.
You know what? And the story I just read about the percentage of calls into the IRS that were actually answered, it's like 13% of calls were answered by a live agent and people actually got help. Guess who has a secret back number?
Steve Moskowitz, I bet. Yep, exactly.
He's like, there's a different number for us, Kim. We don't have to go through that.
Yeah, we're not.
Our
can you
calls
imagine
are always answered.
Staying on hold for 3 days to get one question? No, that's just for us lowly people that are not Steve Moskowitz. So again, 888 tax deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. Now, you might be shocked by your tax bill, but I bet a lot of you are shocked by your PG&E bill. Hi, Nug. Okay, so let's go through it. How many of you are paying out the rear end for PG&E? What was your last bill? Do you remember?
We were just talking about it at the dinner table last night, and my husband was saying it's something like 30 or 35% more than last year. We're paying about $600 a month this month for power. We've never paid that. It's never been that much.
No.
I mean, it's always less, and in the summer we don't have air conditioning and whatever, and it has been cold, but still, that's crazy how much it went up. I mean, and electricity and gas went up
Yeah.
at the same time.
Exactly. Look at Dan. Dan wrote in, we keep our house at 62 degrees, which is what my house is right now, and I'm freezing right now. Our PG&E bill is over $600 this month, and he's on disability. Again, I did reach out to Loretta Lynch. She was formerly with the CPUC. You heard her a lot on Station X with Pat Thurston. I'm trying. Pat was gracious enough to give me her email.
Thank
I
goodness.
reached out.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get her on today. Hopefully I can get her on tomorrow, but we'll see. But yeah, John, $500 for gas, and we keep it at 68. So 68, even though it's too cold for me, I'd have it at 80. I would love to have it at 80. That doesn't happen, obviously. But
Well, I mean, you can see how much it's gone up because, we have, I don't know about you guys, but we haven't changed anything from last year to this.
yes, exactly.
If anything, we conserve a little bit more probably. So,
Absolutely.
why? What's the reason for this?
Okay, so KTVU had a great, and I would show it, but it's too tiny to read. So I'm just going to read it for you. So 2019 versus 2020. Okay, this is kind of, so they were saying they were doing all these different programs, right? System hardening with the stronger poles, the covered lines, vegetation management, high def cameras, weather stations, transmission line switches, community resource centers. I mean, you get, and this was from December that this was put out. They're saying the average PG&E residential bill will be going up about 3%, which is below inflation. But they're saying it's not PG&E's fault. One of their spokespeople said, we don't mark up the cost of gas and electricity that we purchase on behalf of our customers. But they say those who drill for gas do mark it up. So during this peak winter season, December, January, and February, which is what we're in right now, PG&E projects an average of $67 extra for runaway natural gas prices, making monthly bills over $300 for now. Ours was almost $500. I have a 1,350 square foot home. We don't have AC, but I mean, obviously it's the winter. We do have gas. And that's how expensive it is. Now, my house is drafty like the Dickens. So I know that there are things that we could do to kind of reduce that. And then we're moving, so close by, but we're moving, and I'm hoping that house is less drafty. They say the national average of combined utility bills, $328 a month. But in Oakland, the combined utility bills cost households $564 a month.
Yeah.
San Francisco was $457. And in San Jose, $390 on the combined utility bills. You're on a fixed income? That hurts. That hurts a lot. Nick writes in, the CPUC is letting PG&E offset their losses from fire damage lawsuits. And the thing is, and this is what we were bitching about last night, there's no competition.
No.
There's no competition for us here. It's ridiculous. So that's what I want to talk to Loretta Lynch about. I mean, I can only guess what she's going to say, but what power do we have? And do you remember how they were kind of forcing us into those tiers? And they were saying, well, if you pay more, then we'll pay you the difference. What happened to that? Right. That's what I want to know. What happened to that? Because they automatically signed me up for something and made me do this. So, don't use power between this time and this time.
Right.
And if it doesn't reduce your gas bill and your electric bill, then we'll pay you the difference. I'm not holding my breath, PG&E, because you don't need to. When you don't have competition, what incentive do you have to treat your customers properly or keep the prices under control? Zero. Big fat goose egg. I mean, why would they? Why would they? They know they have us. There is, I mean, obviously solar, getting off the grid, all those things that not everybody can do. It's so upsetting. And I know people are like, Gavin Newsom, Jerry Brown, talk about it. Like they have dropped the ball and now it's too late to do anything about it.
It makes you want to take some type of action.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But
I don't know what, like, I don't advocate not paying your bill, but what if nobody paid their bill?
I mean,
what if
freezing our ass off in the wintertime?
California-wide protest. We're just done with you.
I love you.
I know that's really unrealistic, but
as we're like shivering in our homes, and we're like, I mean, you could do, I guess, gas, but I mean, how many of you have gas stoves that are so bad for the environment? You need your power. I mean, people like need electricity to run medical equipment in their homes. It's not as if we can live without utilities. Yeah. So I don't know. how we do it, John. Currently freezing my butt off in my office because I can't turn on the heat. Our bill literally doubled from last November through December, and I haven't used any more gas than normal.
So
Doubled.
frustrating. Yeah.
Doubled. So yeah, I'm hoping to get Loretta Lynch on, and we'll just have a complete bitch fest, and hopefully she'll have some answers for us. Maybe protesting, like Kim said, is right, but I feel like we've done that. I mean, remember when we were bitching about the solar and how they were going to change all of the rates and everything for people that got solar, and that just got kind of pushed aside till we stopped paying attention to it, but it's still on the table, I think.
Calvin has poked a hole in my protest. You're
gonna
right,
like it.
Calvin. I know, but I'm just mad. I'm looking for some recourse. I know it's not reasonable or responsible, but you know.
But neither are they. They're not reasonable or responsible, are they? I'll just act like PG&E. I'll just ignore it until it becomes a problem. It's absolutely ridiculous. A CPUC plus PG&E plus Gavin equals power cartel. You know what? The criticism for Gavin Newsom, as long as you include Jerry Brown in it, totally valid. Totally valid. It is complete BS. And I would use a harsher word, but I like to monetize my show. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just don't know what the answer is. There is no answer. They are a monopoly. They have a monopoly on our power, our gas, and our electricity. And there's nothing we can do about it. Unless anybody has an idea, pay PG&E. Yeah, we'll send the spokescandies out there to break
The sexy
it to 'em.
ones.
There, yeah, with their boots
You
and
know,
their
it's
chunky heels.
Well, it's starting to hurt people.
Yeah,
It's
it's
starting to
beyond
hurt
that.
people because it's the prices have gone up so much for something that we all need to have in order to, you know, keep our family
Yes.
warm during the winter, to you
Ugh.
know, operate and just kind of live. And now it's starting to get so expensive that it's hurting people, especially people that really can't afford, that we're banking on one price, and here
Mhm.
they are paying, you know, 30 to
Exactly.
50% more. It's not okay.
Exactly. John says our gas was 400 times our electric.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, and again, fixed income people or all of us. I mean, it's not as if we're making hundreds of dollars extra every month to throw at our electric bill or our gas bill. So, I mean, it's unreasonable. And it always seems like they're like, we're going to have a meeting to talk about our increase in rates. Have they ever had that meeting and it's been like, no, we're not going to do it? At some point, they always end up raising our rates. It's ridiculous. Squares, water bills used to be $6, then they started adding taxes to the quote unquote vehicle. It seems like every month I'll get or every quarter, I'll get something from San Jose Water, for instance. Oh, we need to raise our rates, storage, this, that, and the other. It's like, I'm supposed to live within my means. Why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing to make sure that your customers are not being gouged? Randy, the cost of electricity is only going to go higher as gas usage is forced out. Good point. Although
They don't want us to have gas stoves anymore.
they don't want us to have gas stoves
Right.
because of the indoor pollution and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I don't have gas stoves, but I have a gas heater. You know, I mean, I still use gas, even if
Yep.
it's not on a stove. But as far as electricity, you know, with the rise of solar and hopefully, what did they call it? The net metering? Wasn't that what it was called? That they
That's
wanted
so
to change?
frustrating.
It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. And no, you should be making it cheaper. You can't talk to us about climate change
No.
and all those sorts of things. Stop using fossil fuels. If on the other hand, with the other hand, you're going to be like, and we're going to charge you more. We're going to take away the incentives. You take away the incentives, then I see where your priorities lie, right? It's ridiculous. Sherry, my Social Security payment increased $200, but it's all going to PG&E. Isn't that nice? Isn't that just so nice? Andrew, want solar on your roof? They don't. Yeah, they're making it so
They don't. Yeah,
they
they're
don't want
making it harder.
They're
They're
making
making
it
it
harder.
harder and more expensive. They used to give people incentives to put
Mhm.
solar, and now they're taking those incentives away. So as we struggle with a power grid, right? We saw over the summer that we weren't supposed to use power between this hour and this hour. We weren't supposed to plug in our electric cars between this hour and this hour. Obviously, you need more power on the grid. You need more people with solar on their roofs to sell that power back, but you're making it harder to put that power on. Meanwhile, we're all supposed to have only buy electric cars by 2035,
Right.
and you're not incentivizing people to put the infrastructure in place on homes that would allow you to plug in your car and do that. So I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And again, if you want electric so badly, then you need to make it affordable for everybody. Randy texted in, Bay Area Air Quality Management District is considering a vote in March to mandate no sales of gas water heaters in 2027, no gas furnaces in 2029, and you'll have to retrofit your house. Wow. I mean, I understood the whole idea I understood about like no new ones, but I thought the whole thing, at least with stoves, and I would assume it would be the same here. If you already have it, they're not going to make you take it out.
No, they can't. They can't have people retrofit their homes. There's so many people that can't afford to do that.
Yeah, pay for it.
They wouldn't be able to put that into there.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense. Sorry,
John
Randy,
says PG&E is reducing the solar credit or the power buyback because they want to cut.
Yeah.
They're losing money, so they want to cut of what you're generating on solar panels. They didn't help you pay for. It's like,
oh, but we're using the lines to sell the power back to them, so we should pay for that, right?
We did already, PG&E.
Oh.
Remember, we paid for all those, for all the rate hikes, and then you didn't do what you needed to do, and then had cities blowing up and burning down and all sorts of things. I swear, it drives me nuts. Wow, Molly, last year my PG&E bill was $250. This January, $450. Yeah, it's insane. So again, I'm trying to get Loretta Lynch, formerly with the CPUC, who has been a big, huge critic of PG&E. She was on with Pat Thurston so much, and it was always such a good conversation when she was on with Pat over at Station X. So I'll try to get her on. Maybe I'll get her on tomorrow. Again, my daughter's having surgery on Wednesday, so I probably won't be back. Fingers crossed, I'll be back quickly, but I'll let you guys know. But I'll definitely not be here on Wednesday. But yeah, it's just, but if she calls in, Kim, you can obviously interview.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do the show, Loretta Lynch, because we don't want to let this go. People are having to pay their bills, and I don't know where they're going to get the money. That's the question. Where are people supposed to get twice as much to be able to pay these bills?
They don't care. PG&E doesn't care.
They don't. Yeah, they're not losing.
They just want it.
Exactly.
Giving them money.
Sticky Cola Bud writes in, I saw a news article in October or so. They're raising gas prices 40% just in time for winter. It's greed like Enron. Yeah, and then they're going to blame it on all sorts of things, right? Oh, it's this, that, and the other. It's Ukraine. It's this. And no, it's not Ukraine, but you know what I'm saying. John writes in, I was talking to someone who, $700 PG&E bill. I mean, we're talking rent, mortgage payments. I mean, geez Louise, it is getting up there. It's too much. And so we need to do something about it. I just don't know what the answer is. I don't think, Kim, a protest is going to do anything. What we need is competition. You want to reduce prices. We need competition. And I don't know how we get there. I just don't think that it's even possible. Okay, so we're going to do Kim's news. When we come back, there's been, I think, Kim, you actually touched on this in your news, where there seems to be a fading threat of that triple pandemic, that triple-demic, that tridemic that they were talking about, COVID, flu, RSV. Also, if you have been laid off, and we're seeing Amazon, right? Last week was Google. So many people in the tech industry have been laid off. Well, one person is asking for suggestions on what to do if you moved here for a job and then they gave you your walking papers. There's a big red flag also I'll tell you about if you are interviewing for a job. And on one hand, you would say, that's what I would want to happen. And on the other hand, you're like, I don't think so. We may be able to get to some parenting news, which is always fun. Baby names and how you rein in those very excited grandparents. I don't know if you had very excited grandparents that were blabbing all over social media, Kim, but how do you rein in the grandparents from sharing too much? So there's a funny story that I found online about that. And again, please click that thumbs up button right now. Just do it if you haven't done it already. It's really simple. Just click that thumbs up. We absolutely love it. And we'll talk about all that after the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 tax deal. And we will start with that shooting in Southern California because new details are now emerging about the suspect accused of killing 11 people Saturday in Southern California. Police in the suspect's hometown of Hemet, 85 miles southeast of LA, say the 72-year-old man came into the police station January 7th and January 9th, and on both occasions reportedly complained about an alleged past fraud, theft, and poisoning involving his family in the Los Angeles area 10 to 20 years ago. Police say the suspect promised to return with documentation of his claims, but never did. Monterey Park Mayor Henry Lowe telling NBC News there appeared to be a history of domestic violence, but he didn't provide any more details than that. There are multiple suspects in custody in Iowa. This after a school shooting at a charter school in the capital city. Officers responding to the scene in downtown Des Moines this afternoon, they found 3 injured victims, 2 people in critical condition, a third in serious condition right now. A GOP-backed bill aimed at restricting the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is getting some pushback from the White House now. Here's what we know. The House bill would require the Department of Energy to develop a plan to increase oil and gas production on federal land that offsets any additional drawdowns. The White House and President Biden would veto the bill if it passes both the House and the Senate. The doomsday clock that shows how close humanity is to Armageddon is set to be updated tomorrow. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, the nonprofit organization of world leaders and Nobel laureates, have announced that how close the world is to ending for the last 75 years. It's currently sitting at 100 seconds to midnight, but the Russian invasion of Ukraine is expected to push it even closer.
Oh, let's do the over under. What do we think? 90? I mean, 90 seconds. We never get further away, I feel like. I mean, has there been a time where we've moved further away? Have we ever moved, I don't know, an hour? It has to be in seconds. And do we really need this kind of negativity in our life, Kim? I mean, do I want to know the end of the world is coming, or does the world just end and I don't care anymore, right? I mean, it's like, well, if it ended, I'm gone. So
throw your hands up in the air. There's really nothing you can do anyway. Move along here. There's nothing to
so
think.
depressing. It's like, why do I want? I know it's supposed to light a fire under our ass or something, but it doesn't. We know it doesn't because we keep inching closer. Whatever.
Twitter. Oh, Twitter. There is now a more clear picture of just how much smaller Twitter's operations have become since Elon Musk took over. Internal records show the social media company has laid off 80% of its workforce. I'm not even joking. Of the 1,300 workers who remain, fewer than 550 are full-time engineers at Twitter.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even know.
I feel bad for people that worked there. I mean, geez.
I don't know how you would function.
No, exactly. You wouldn't. You're just doing way too much work and sleeping there for what? For a company that looks like it's going to go under, right? Oh.
And this is not related to Twitter, so I'll take that picture down. But we'll end it by saying this, that I don't know if you saw this horror movie, Megan.
No, but I want to.
Okay.
You know me. I want to see it. It's like a doll thing or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It looks really creepy.
It does.
So the star of Megan, her name is Allison Williams, and Oscar-nominated actor Riz Ahmed are both set to announce this year's Academy Awards nominations.
Okay.
The announcement will take place tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern. It will
in the
air
morning.
on Good Morning America Live. So by the time we come on, we'll already know the Oscars take place on March 12th. Do you have any premonitions or predictions?
For the Oscars, I mean, I think Avatar is obviously, well, no, Avatar can't win because it came out this year, right? So it's all last year. I don't know. We need Tim Sika. I don't know. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head right now. I'm blanking. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Did I tell you guys that I watched it?
No.
So it was one of these movies that I wanted to see really badly. It won at the Golden Globes a lot. It was the kid from Indiana Jones. He's an adult now and he won. He gave a great speech. Anyways, last week when I was in the hospital, it took me like 2 days to watch it though, because I can only watch it at night because I was busy with my daughter, obviously. It is so good. If you have not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think I have that right. And you haven't seen it, so you should watch it. It is, what is it on? I think right now it's on Showtime. If you get Showtime or
Okay.
Paramount Plus, you can get a free. So I signed up for the free trial of Paramount Plus just to watch it. So it's very, very good. So that's what my vote is, just off the top of my head. I think it's going to win big.
All right.
It's excellent.
And not that I hate to like to end with the bad stuff, but I just spotted this. And since we're on the podcast platforms as well as YouTube, I
Yeah.
will say Spotify is
Mhm.
set to cut 6% of its workforce.
Jeez Louise, people. My God.
The
Does it seem
music
like more people are
streaming
losing their jobs
giant-
now than they did at the beginning
Yeah.
of COVID?
They say it's difficult but necessary to reduce costs. Spotify joining other tech companies like Amazon, Microsoft, of course, Twitter, which we just mentioned, Google, mass layoffs as the economy slows. The company had about 9,800 employees globally as of September 2022. Speaking of layoffs, you know that Google layoff, we're starting to hear more about how it happened. They
Right.
did like a full-on radio layoff. You know how once you're 1 minute you're on the air, the next minute you're out the door, standing in the sidewalk, looking up, going,
Oh,
what
my
is
heart
happening here?
breaks. Yeah. Oh
So
my
the
God.
Googlers, they woke up to an email and they woke up, they saw the message, or they tried to log on to their Google accounts, and everything was cut off.
Oh,
Like
that
it was like 1 minute
sucks.
you're a Googler, the next minute done. Before anybody even really knew it, they cut off all access. They said they
Wow.
didn't even get to say goodbye. Sound familiar?
Oh yeah. We fully understand that. Thank you. Yeah.
I was reading
Oh,
one story that said of all the tech layoffs we've seen one after another, that the landscape is changing and nobody is safe when you're talking about layoffs. And used to be in the tech world that there were some jobs that would be, were more
nope.
safe than others. At this point, all bets are off.
Oh, and that's scary because, again, you have a PG&E bill to pay. I mean, what are you going to do if you get laid off? The
Yeah.
lights are literally going to turn off. So,
Yeah.
geez,
Meanwhile, you owe $650 to
PG&E
PG&E.
don't care. They're
What?
like, sorry, too bad, so sad. There you go. Oh my goodness.
Murphy says, I feel like all these high tech cuts are just owner greed. Why are there more job security at my dance studio?
Yeah, but I also wonder if there was a lot of, and I'm not saying that it's across the board this reason, but there was also a lot of hiring, right? I mean, it seemed like all these companies were hiring, and now they're like, oh, we did, which is stupid. I mean, you had to have known there had to be a correction. Should some of these jobs come back? I don't know. I think it'd leave a bad taste in my mouth if I was going to consider another job after this. I probably wouldn't look at tech unless I was guaranteed, like with some sort of contract, to make money.
I'm going to end on a positive note with Squarius. Yes, I do take comments during news. Getting worse before getting better, but it will get better.
Of course.
folks.
I love that. Thank you,
Squarius.
There you
This
go.
report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for the people, be they single, be they companies, be they whatever. Steve has got you. 888 tax deal or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm
go.
Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Hit the thumbs up button. We absolutely love it. Let me give some shout outs really quickly. We just got another one from Murphy. Murphy, I love you. You're such a huge supporter and listener of the show. You guys are so nice.
Murphy.
And you know what? I want to say it to other people that can't donate in this way, but donate either through Patreon or PayPal. Thank you. I know that.
Yeah.
During the show, you kind of get that shout out live on the show, and you can go back to it, and it's fun. I get that some people don't want to donate this way. Maybe they don't like the fees or whatever they charge. Whatever way you feel comfortable supporting this entire endeavor that we're on, we appreciate. And again, $10 from Jay Siller and Wes starting us off with $10 is really, really
Thanks, you guys.
appreciated. Absolutely appreciate it. All right. So my daughter had to get a COVID test on Saturday. And the last time she had a procedure done, I had to get a COVID test whenever you're in there. It's kind of the protocol. It took us we did it maybe in November-ish. I want to say it took us about 30 minutes to get through the line. I mean, it was a drive-through. It was like wrapping around, right? Back and forth. This time I was nervous because we had to go somewhere. I was like, shoot, we might be late because of the line. There was one person in line ahead of us. in the COVID drive-thru. Now, I don't know if that's good news or bad news, right? Are people just not testing themselves? Or, as I was reading in the Washington Post, COVID, flu, RSV are declining in hospitals as this triple-demic threat fades.
Yeah, our rate in California, the surge wasn't like last winter.
Right. And that is so good. So they say the 7-day national average of hospital patients testing positive for coronavirus declined to 39,000 as of Friday, after peaking to around 47,000 on January 10th. COVID-19 patients are occupying 5% of hospital beds compared to 21% at this point last year. So that's huge. Now, here's the other thing, right? Because of the vaccines and the boosters and everything like that, we always know that these numbers are underreported because you might get COVID, but you don't go to the hospital because you're fine. And so it doesn't show up in any of these numbers. And I know people, they're just, it seems like it's so different than the response. Before, you heard someone had COVID, 7 degrees of separation of people weren't going anywhere because they were scared of giving it to grandma or what have you.
Sure.
Now people just seem to be a little bit more confident, like, oh, it's fine. If I get it, I'm boosted, I'm vaccinated, or I just don't give a crap. But I do like the fact that the numbers aren't as bad as they were last year. And I hope that trend continues because that's the last thing we need, especially given what we were just talking about, layoffs, supply chain issues. Where was I? We went to, my husband and I had a much needed date night the other night. And when we were out, I was starving and I'm like waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, but I'm of course not saying anything, not complaining because we know how restaurants are and I don't want rat poison in my food. I'm just kidding. No, I just was trying to be patient. I was just really hangry. And I thought to myself, this is the reality of the world that we live in. It's not as if people are just being slow or not taking care of their customers. There just aren't enough people working. I want to get better there. I don't want to go backwards. I so don't want to go back to the way it was. So I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that we could turn the page and hopefully even places like Google and Amazon, maybe they're correcting a little bit with their layoffs, but it has to be tough to be getting a pink slip. Now, let's see. You mentioned them earlier, Kim. Microsoft, Google, Amazon,
Twitter, now Spotify. I mean,
are laying off people. But imagine. So there's this TikToker by the name of Darian Christian, and his video is going viral. He was asked to return to the office at his amazing tech job, signing a 12-month lease in order to do so, and then was promptly laid off. So how many of you are wanting to even sign something like a 12-month lease? I'm moving. I just signed a 12-month lease for a new place. Now, I've already been laid off and I still did it, right? I can't imagine trying to sign or even thinking about signing a contract for something like that, working in a tech industry and seeing headlines like this, because it's expensive to move. I forgot. I mean, it's been a long time since I've had to move, and it costs money, and not just the first, the last, the deposits and all that. Just, moving trucks, getting rid of stuff,
scary.
The dumpsters, all that sort of stuff.
I was talking to a woman who is a waitress at a restaurant called Cattleman's in Petaluma.
Oh, yes.
And that is a business that is likely going to close down. They know it's going to close because the owner is selling the property and they're building like a Chick-fil-A and some other things there. But she was saying, so we know we're going to close. We just don't know when. And we were talking about how don't buy anything new, right? Like you can't make any new purchases, no new cars, nothing. Like don't do anything because you don't know. And that's, I think, where the position we're put in, because you don't know. You've got to be super careful.
Yeah, you got to hunker down. You got to be putting money aside. Probably not the best time for me to move, but we had to do it. But yeah, it's one of those things where you want to be smart, and obviously, if you're offered your dream job, for instance, should you take it given what we're seeing? Well, here is a red flag that people are sharing online, where if they do this, if a company does this, get the hell out of there. So this one guy, Notre Dame, learned the hard way. So apparently he went into a job interview, and then right after the job interview, they offered him the job. And he says, don't effing take it. That's the biggest red flag there ever could be.
If they
Although
offer it to you right there, why
right
is
then
that a
and
red
there.
flag?
So he said,
Wouldn't you like to think I am so awesome that they thought, yes,
that's what you want to
grab
happen.
this person right away.
Exactly. So apparently he describes how on his first day, human resources introduced him to one of the managers who replied by saying, nope, not me. I didn't hire him. I'm hiring my own guy. He said, you could have just said welcome. You could have said welcome to the team, but he didn't say that. And then he says the manager bragged that he made $50,000 a month in sales and said if Ramez made a sale, he'd buy them lunch. And then he looks at me and says, don't expect to eat for free off of my hard work. So it was basically every single person, he said, their background on their computer screen was the Wolf of Wall Street, which is never a good sign. It was like those were the type of people he was working with. He was in sales, so not exactly tech. But he says if anybody or any company immediately offers you the job, it's telling you that they're desperate because people are leaving. And so they should kind of want to like, I'll go back to the team. We're going to discuss it. We might make you an offer. But if they're like, yeah, we're going to hire you right then and there, ding, 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 don't take the job because you could be on the unemployment line, extreme or laid off or want to leave very, very quickly. I've never been put in that position where I haven't looked for a job in a very, very long time. So, but you would think that if you're going in for a job interview, the dream is they're like, we want you. You're just who we're looking for.
Right.
But
exactly.
depending on the job, that may not be the exact thing that you want. So, especially if you're going to send a 12-month lease to a place, Jesus, go month to month. This is the job market right now. Everything's month to month. On that note, though, I do want to let you know that tomorrow we're going to talk about home prices because while people are getting laid off and, inflation and rising interest rates, some people are planning on spending a lot of money. And I was reading an article this morning, and I'm going to bring on a realtor that I know to talk about it tomorrow, that it's a buyer season right now. That if you can kind of pull the trigger and deal with the interest rates as they are, home prices are actually going down. I was watching this one TikToker who was saying, if you want home prices to go down, what happens at the same time is the interest rates go up because it takes people out of the market. And if there's less people in the market, then the people that are selling the home will go down. So we're going to have this kind of conversation about it. Janet Yellen and the Fed are higher interest rates on the way. And should you take this as your sign of go buy that house? If you can make the mortgage work for a little bit before interest rates go down again, now could be the time to buy. I would love to buy a house, but looking at those interest rates, 6%, even 5%.
Plus, how do you, you look at the prices and it's like, how do you even afford that? Now homes are, 1.3, 1.4 million in your area. I don't know how.
No, and that's like 1.3 for a fixer upper, which still, oh my God, makes it hurt. It really, really does. So tomorrow, I think we're going to do it in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to do it in the 1 o'clock hour. We're talking about home prices. And you guys tell me, is anybody in the market right now to buy? I'm always amazed when people are about to buy homes. I go, where and how much? Just to kind of put me back into reality because it's just, I don't know, man.
I have a story to throw at you. You ready for this?
Oh, please.
Just saw it. Apparently, smart people cheat too. Did you know this?
Oh, well, yeah.
There's a new poll that was done by the Stanford Daily among Stanford students. Apparently, many of the Stanford students admitted to using something called ChatGPT.
I was reading this. Yes. Go tell the story.
It's an artificial intelligence program that helps you write essays and maybe on your final exams as well. It's a free writing tool that can generate human-like text based on a prompt, as well as images and video based on a larger database of online materials. So Stanford Daily does this poll, and they say administrators are aware that chat GPTs are used on campus. So they're now looking at the school's honor code and figuring out whether they need to revise that to include chat GPT because college students are using this to get by.
I mean, I was also reading a little bit before this of software out there that you can plug in that will tell you if it's been plagiarized or created by a bot or an algorithm or something
Right.
like that. It might be, but it's not feasible for every teacher to put in every assignment to do something like that.
Right.
An honor code, really? Like, don't cheat. Okay. Like, I mean, you would
So
hope that people would have, a moral backbone, but college being what it is and being so competitive, I think some people justify it. Like, look, I paid a lot of money. I worked my ass off to get into Stanford.
yeah.
If I have to kind of cut corners, I just can't miss out on it. Or my parents are paying a lot of money, or I'm paying a lot of money.
So they're saying it could help people that English is not their first language or that may have a lower reading ability. But there's also some thought between educators and students that apparently this new machine type of learning could actually be helpful. It could be harmful. How do you kind of know which way to go?
Yeah.
Whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether it's being used to cheat and write papers, apparently it's not always a bad thing. So,
Well, Nick wrote in, I tried Chat GPT. It's
okay.
amazing. Okay, Nick, I want a little bit more detail than that. Like, how did you use it? Are you a cheater, pumpkin eater? Or like, is there like, is there another valid way of using it? Because it seems like cheating, right, Kim? I mean, what other way would you use it besides?
Besides having to write a paper for you, some school districts are banning it.
Well,
They're saying,
duh.
"Don't
Like, how
even
else would you use
try
it?
it."
I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like the non-cheating way of using it. Like, oh, I just use it for research. My ass. Give me a break. It's like, no. Remember back in the day, Kim, we used to have to go to the library and you had to
Mhm.
bring the books that you were going to do the research. You had to bring them in. You had to write out everything about it.
Well, not only that, but you had to do a detailed bibliography stating where
Yes.
you got all the resources. Well, apparently AI can do that for you.
I
That's the
mean,
way it is.
I get it. Hold on. Somebody made a great point. Al Anonymous. It's like calculators becoming popular. Teachers learn to adjust the curriculum based on available tools. I like that because I look at the
Right.
kids nowadays. I mean, remember they always used to tell us, not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. Yeah, I
Yeah,
am.
you are. And the thing is, you still need to know how to do the problem. So what if you can't
Right.
quickly calculate the numbers? You still know what you're doing as far as, the process of the
But do
equation or
you
whatever.
really? Or can you just be like, hey, Siri, what is the, fill in the blank math problem? Like, here it is, like, thanks. But what happens when AI takes over and we can no longer access all of it's, I don't know, man. It's really hard. It's hard to know, given the technology that we have, what's right and what's wrong. I mean, the technology is there. Can our brain space be used for something
Yeah.
else? Because there's that funny meme. They're like, I'm so glad that they taught us about parallelograms instead of how to do my taxes because I love that in parallelogram season, right? It's like it really helps me out in parallelogram season. Not saying you
Oh,
don't need to know, but yeah, there's some holes in our education for sure.
apparently, this whole AI thing in education is not going away. Well,
Right.
and in other industries as well. Microsoft has announced a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar investment into OpenAI, which was co-founded by our favorite Stanford alum, Elon Musk.
Wow.
OpenAI's other products, the image generator DALL-E, DALL-E,
Okay.
that's a computer programming assistant, and the speech recognition tool Whisper as well. So there's a lot of open AI things going on. So
Hmm.
this technology is going to come for us in ways that maybe we haven't thought of yet.
And that's the whole thing. I said that I was just saying this last week. Always the technology is quicker than the safeguards or the
Hmm.
protection or the knowledge, right? And like all of
Yeah.
a sudden, something like Chat GPT comes out, and teachers are like, wait. And now all of a sudden they have to adjust really quickly. Honor code. That's laughable. Oh, I know what the answer will be. We'll just tell people not to cheat. I'm pretty sure they know they're not
Well,
supposed to do that.
it's not against the honor code, and technically right now using OpenAI or Chat GPT is not cheating. So when you change the honor code,
No, it's
when the
cheating.
rules
No.
catch up to the technology, do you think people will stop doing it?
No, I'm saying as a child, no. Look, you know what you're doing when you're using Chat GPT, right? You know what you're
Yeah.
doing. You know how you're using it, and just because it's not spelled out
Right.
explicitly, Please. I
You
mean,
know, the
come
difference between,
on.
you know, you're supposed to write the paper versus your computer's supposed to write the paper for you.
Exactly.
It's really not much of a line there.
Nick writes, I just wanted to try it to see what all the hype was about. It gives long, detailed responses. How excellent, because I'm sure that's exactly what teachers want to see.
Yeah.
I feel like on one hand, if people are still learning, isn't that the point? That's my whole thing. Is there a way to use the technology in which you're still learning something? Because if all of us are just kind of cutting corners and doing like, the cheat sheet type of thing, and what are we learning? What are we retaining? And who are we really hurting? Like your parents would always tell you, you're only hurting yourself if you don't really learn it, because at some point you're going to be in a situation in which you wish that you knew whatever knowledge, and you don't have the phone or somebody there to help you.
But then again, so maybe you read the paper and you do some learning, but what you don't get is research. You don't learn how to research. You don't learn how to critically think, and when you're thinking about what to include, what information needs to be included in a paper, how to pick and choose the
True.
things that make your case, make your point, are the most germane to the issue. All those things you don't get from an AI generator writing your paper for you.
Exactly. Some things you just can't Google, right? Or it's not going to give you the exact same thing. All right. On that note, because just to end the show on a lighter note, shall we? Speaking of people that should have done a little bit more research. All right. I don't like talking about the Kardashian. I mean, technically, she's a Jenner. Kylie Jenner. They renamed their son. She has a kid with Travis Scott, if you know who these people are. Doesn't really matter. They should have done a little bit more research. So they initially named their son Wolf. Okay. And then they're like, you know what? He doesn't feel like a wolf. Duh. So they changed the name a year ago. And so they have finally come out and divulged what the new name is. And it's A-I-R-E. It's pronounced Heir. Okay. They've named their child Heir, which, okay. I mean, whatever. I don't actually hate it. I always think it's going to be misspelled like heir to the throne or something like that, but it's A-I-R-E. Right. Well, apparently they should have put it in a Google. All right. So get this. Apparently, in Arabic, it translates to my penis.
Oh.
So apparently a lot of people are like,
It's a good thing they're not living somewhere where Arabic is commonly spoken.
Well, yeah,
right?
one person on Instagram wrote, God help her if she comes to the Middle East. All my Lebanese people are wheezing right now. Like, whatever you do, don't bring them to Lebanon, to Lebanon, babe. Because, Heir, it's actually spelled A-Y-R-E, and it translates to Arabic as best friend as well as penis, depending on use. I love the fact that in Arabic, Heir could be best friend or penis, which could also be the same thing.
Same thing, exactly.
There you go. Absolutely. So there, just Google, Google things before you name your child after a small member or big member. I don't know anything about Travis Scott. All right. Before we end the show, big thank you to everybody. Please click that thumbs up button before the show ends. You can also do it if you're watching on replay. Hello in replay. Join our Patreon squad. The Medorables are on there. The Nikki Medoro Show.com. We do have some new merchandise. We have hoodies. We have AirPod cases. So if you want to check out all of the new stuff, just go to my store, the Nikki Medoro Shop with a P.com. It's all right there. If you want to support us by PayPal, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. All the ways that you can support the show. We really do appreciate it. And again, tomorrow, we are going to talk about home prices. How many of you reach out to me? Tune in tomorrow. How many of you are actually thinking of buying a home with interest rates as they are? I'll be speaking with a realtor to talk about the San Jose market. The San Francisco market is a buyer's market right now, which you don't often hear, but are you willing to pull the trigger with interest rates as they are? That's all coming up tomorrow.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.